I'm the Genesis Gardens manager. You'll see what that means in a second. So what we do is I work for an organization called Mobile Loaves and Fishes. We are a social outreach organization that has been empowering communities into a lifestyle of service with the homeless since 1998 in Austin, Texas. What you see here and what our presentation is about is Aquaponics at the Community First Village. It's an opportunity for communities, growth, and healing. Cool. So really quick, what Community First Village is, just to let you know, we can go back if you don't want. What Community First Village is our Aquaponics, is we are a 51-acre master planned community that provides affordable permanent housing and supportive community for disabled and chronically houseless folks of Central Texas. And how we do that, next, is through our 3 programs. Our 3 programs are a truck ministry, the Community First Village, which we'll dive into, and our Community Works programs. Now the purpose of Mobile Loaves and Fishes, the whole drive for us, is empowering communities, the whole community, into the lifestyle of service with the homeless. What's really brilliant about what we do as farmers is our product is the food, but what we're doing, our purpose, is caring for our community and building community and taking care of the most vulnerable folks within our communities. So our Community Works programs are super amazing, and they provide micro enterprises opportunities that enable the men, women, and non-binary folks who are coming out of chronic homelessness to use their talents to earn dignified income. Dignified income, think of it as purposeful work. These are folks who come in, it's not like a whole 8-hour day like you and I might do, but it's about 3.5 hours of work, and you're paid per that contract. So all of the folks who work on our farm, I've got myself, 2, who I'll introduce in a moment, and a garden coordinator and a harvest and farmers market coordinator. Otherwise, it's all neighbors who are the residents that live in our community, and volunteers. And we can see upwards of 500 volunteers just in our program alone. So Genesis Gardens is who we are. And we also have an art house, which please stop by our booth. We'd love to share some of the amazing art that comes out of our incredible art house. We do ceramics, jewelry, paintings. So that's our dignified income. And Genesis Gardens, bam, this is us. So Genesis Gardens is rad. We run about 10 to 15 acres on this 51-acre property, and we have an abundance of way that we grow food. We have organic farms, soil farms, we have a natural spring pond, we have a geodome, we have over 120 chickens on a 5-acre pasture, we've got a mushroom house, a 300-foot okra wall, and the most amazing 2,000 square foot hydroponic aquaponic greenhouse. So with that, I'd love to introduce you all to Nguyen. She is our hydroponic aquaponic coordinator and assistant, and she has an amazing story to tell, and she's really, for me, when I got on the job, inspired me in just knowing like what our future as farmers, as female farmers, as communities, what this looks like, and how you can go from a blank slab to this incredible, really prosperous farm. So, without ado, take it away.
Hi everyone, I'm just going to quiet. Okay, I'll try to speak louder because I can't reach my. Hi everyone, I'm Tu. As Judea said, I am the aquaponics and hydroponics assistant coordinator at Mobile Fishes Community First Village. And yeah, today I'm just going to tell you a story of how our aquaponics program came to be. So this first slide is kind of like an intro to that. So I want to start to talk about the pre-2 era. This was before I was hired on, many years before our current programming system existed. I heard, so ever since I've been there, I've heard a lot of stories of how our first aquaponics systems first came to be. And the lore is that we had a donor who's very passionate about aquaponics, alternative growing. He's just really interested in the science behind it. And he wanted to donate a aquaponics system to us. So he donated this geodesic dome to our community, and they put it in a pond with the intention of it becoming an aquaponics system. And so one day during a heavy rainstorm, it flooded in the geodome, and our fish escaped. So the fish are probably not fish are probably the last farm animal you would think to escape, but nonetheless, that didn't stop our donor to have the ambition to want us to have an aquaponics program. But then he thought maybe this time it should be indoors and above ground. So that was where the idea came to be, and this really showcases how our dedicated community of supporters really come together and believe in our mission and want us to have these sort of programs and opportunities for the neighbors living on our village. So next up was the planning phase. Our team, the donors team, and actually the team at the Aquaponics source all came together to come up with designs for our aquaponics program. They made it very accessible, and they wanted to achieve our goal of not only feeding our community, but also having a space for our neighbors to earn a dignified income like Judea talked about earlier. And then there was me. I came along in July of 2021. I was bright-eyed and excited to join the team. My background is in traditional soil farming, so this was brand new to me. I've never done aquaponics before. And I was joining the team with the belief that I was going to be kind of an assistant, learning from an expert farmer, and that was not what was in store for me. There are many things changing at the village. We were rapidly expanding, and management was changing. My manager at the time, who had been working on this project for many years, she was leaving. She basically left a couple months after I started, and so that really left a lot on me. It kind of fell on me to kind of figure out what to do with this space. And when I first started, this is what the space was. It was a concrete slab with like a metal frame that was rusting because it was on hold during COVID. So it had not been worked on in a few years. And so it was just kind of sitting there and waiting for someone to breathe life back into it. So during October of 2021 is when they started construction again on the greenhouse. This part is where I really got to be a part of seeing it come to life. I got to sit in on construction meetings, connect and learn about the project's progress, and also I got to be a part of the installation and see everything come together. This is like halfway into the installation of our aquaponics system when Tanya from the Aquaponics source and their team came down to put in our system. I got to be a part of that and help them put together some components, so that was really cool. So next was after they finished putting in our system in about December of 2021, we just kind of hit the ground running. We started our first seeds in that same year, December. Started cycling our system. I was getting really excited, seeing all the colors changing. I felt like a scientist. And then we had our first harvest in February of 2022. And then after that, we put in our first batch of fish in April of 2022. And then on the slide, when I said endless lettuce, I mean like we just had a lot of lettuce. It was just a salad party. And everything was just really going well. I was checking the boxes, everything I had learned from different trainings, from talking to different farmers. I was just like, yeah, this is going super well. Like everything's going great. It was beautiful in there. It was like a dream. And I was like, is this really that easy? Well, then the bubble burst and the rose tinted glasses had to come off, and we had to deal with a lot of farming reality. As Judea said, we're based in Austin, Texas, so in Central Texas we get like hot weather. It was like another hot summer. It started early in May. That year we started hitting 100-degree weather. And our greenhouse is just not built for that sort of heat. So that was kind of like the beginning of our problems. And then we started to see like pests, disease issues. We had a lot of dead fish. Our brand new greenhouse started to get tears in it. We had a cracked fish tank. And ironically enough, we had another big rainstorm, and it flooded inside of our greenhouse. It's okay, none of our fish escaped this time. But yeah, that was just like a kind of big culmination of all these issues arising. It was a pretty sad day. We almost had to shut down our whole system because there was rain coming in from everywhere and all these electrical stuff. So it was a scary time. And all of these events didn't happen just in one day. They kind of spanned over about a year. That kind of like, it made it feel nonstop. It was like one problem after another, putting one fire out, like little fires at a time. And sometimes it just felt like we were set up for failure, like we were kind of doomed. But the thing that kept me going is honestly the thing that gave me the confidence to believe that I could even undertake this responsibility in the first place, and that was community. With help from staff, volunteers, neighbors, even we had a visit from some parasitic wasps that came and took out our aphid population. That was totally accidental. I didn't release them. So it was just a fun accident. I'll talk a little bit about each picture, but this first picture is one of our staff members. This is when our fish tank window cracked for the first time. I say first time because it's happened a couple of times. And he came in and he just jumped in and started just netting out fish and putting them into our other tank so that I could drain the tank because he was just spraying water everywhere, and I was on the phone with Tanya and JD from the Aquaponics source, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? And then the next photo is of some seminaries in training. They were helping us out for summer, and they just did anything that I asked them to do in the greenhouse. They would take stuff apart and sew it back together, and even some really mundane tasks like cleaning up like duct tape residue that was stuck on the greenhouse. So they were really great. They were super helpful in that space. And then we have one of our neighbors here. I think he was also helping me net out fish because this tank window was so cracked. We just had a lot of bad luck with cracked windows. And so when I look back at these photos and what got me through every one of these problems that we encountered, it really was this collective community of people around me that helped get me through it. People who care about the plants and the fish and each other. People from so many different walks of life that came together with this shared goal of feeding their community. And feed the community we did. We explored and experimented with many different crops in our first year. This was just really valuable for me, this exploration, for my growth as an aquaponics farmer, and allowed me to hone my skills and learn through all of our successes and failures. So, for all those who are like a little more quantitative data, so I put just photos in all these slides. But by the numbers, beyond the abundance of food that we've grown in just shy of 2 years, we've also achieved, we've provided work opportunities for 15 neighbors or residents in some capacity in our aquaponics program. We
over $17.4 thousand in dignified income to our neighbors. And then our neighbors have put in over 1,120 hours of work into our aquaponics greenhouse. So this is just like a really amazing accomplishment for our team, and it really shows what you can do when a community comes together. So all these hours were put in by neighbors like my friend Shay. I asked some of our neighbors to put testimonials, ask them for testimonials, so I would like to share some of their words with you. So this is from Shay. Shay says, "Working in our aquaponics program has brought many things to my life. The satisfaction of a job well done and having helped feed my community. The sheer joy of walking into a room filled with delicious abundance, knowing that I helped grow every single plant, every single one tended by my own hands, kindled to sprout, carefully planted and dispersed to my neighbors. The self-respect of knowing that my experience can help solve the unique challenges that can rise. It's a strengthening memory that shields me on my bad days and weeks, reminding me that I can do and have positive influence on the world around me." Shay is super great. She is one of our really consistent neighbors who work in our aquaponics program. She does a variety of tasks from like seed starting to transplanting, and most importantly, she teaches volunteers the tasks that she does, and she brings them alongside her to help her with those tasks. I love Shay, and I love talking to her about different varieties of crops to grow and experiment with. She has this really big passion for seed saving, and she shares that with her neighbors that live with her in the village. I also wanted to share another testimonial from our friend Mike. He was in that previous photo when he was helping me net out the fish. Mike is one of our OG neighbors. He's been working in there since we first started. And this is what he had to say about working on our program. He said, "It has been a beneficial learning experience for me to work in the aquaponics greenhouse because it presents the opportunity to give back, helping the community. I like to watch the fish swirling around in their fish tank when I feed them. Sometimes I think they recognize me because they get excited when I show up in the morning, but it's only because it's feed time. I can now use my newly acquired knowledge in horticulture to help with my lawn and personal flower garden. If you take care of nature, Mother Nature will take care of you." So like I was saying, Mike has been working in our program ever since we first got started. He actually got to be part of the installation process with the aquaponics team. He worked with Tanya and Mike, so Mike and Mike got to work together, put the system together. And when we were just that metal skeleton of a greenhouse that you saw in one of those first photos, he would come to me super eager every day and started and check with me about the progress and how we were doing with our greenhouse progress. And he's been a huge, vital part of making sure the greenhouse stays up and running. He checks in on it when on my days off. He's available to jump in and help whenever needed, and he's always taking notes of anything he notices going wrong. He'll find me in the mornings if something's gone wrong. He'll tell me. So if I haven't caught it, he'll catch it. So yeah, these are just a few of the stories of how our aquaponics program has grown more than food for our community. It's grown, it's inspired community, and it's inspired growth and healing to myself and our neighbors. So thank you for listening.
And just to wrap up about Mobile Loaves and Fishes, again, we're a 51-acre master plan community. We just bought an additional 51 acres across the street, and we have another 71 acres we bought by the Austin airport. In the next 10 years, we'll have rehoused over 1,500 people. Every Saturday, I didn't mention this before, but how we actually distribute our food. Probably want to know how they get it. Every single Saturday, we have a farmer's market, and we set it up just like any other farmer's market that someone's going to make profit from. We bring beef, all of our produce, our chicken eggs, and a ton of other delicious things, and we give it away, all for free. So it's a really amazing, fun farmer's market. We engage the community to come to help give out the food. We give recipes. They can learn how to cook it. They can learn how to eat it raw. And so our whole mission is to really engage communities. And so we would love to engage with you and talk with you more about what we do as farmers, whether it's soil, whether it's water, or whether we're cultivating communities and we're changing the way we see the houseless and the way we see ourselves and how we can actually feed people ethically and responsibly. So again, you can click into these QR codes or you can just join us at our table for any more questions. Thank you all. We don't have about 5 minutes, so if you have anything to ask, this is your chance. Yeah.
Can you tell us about the training for the volunteers?
For the volunteers, yeah, our volunteers honestly most of the time get trained by our neighbors who work there. So our neighbors are super skilled in the little tasks that they do. So any volunteer that signs up will just come on the day that they're signed up for, and they will get paired up with a neighbor who will train them in whatever task they have for that day.
With our Aquaponics, it's a much smaller volunteer program. With Genesis Gardens as a whole, we can see up to 500 volunteers in a month. So we don't have enough neighbors to partner with every group. Like we'll get 40 teenagers one day. So we just gotta rally the cats, you know, get the kids to listen, and then we teach through doing, and then they show us back, and then that's how we do it together. There's the parable of the pepper. It's a really great way that I engage communities and folks and please ask me about it. It's like the way we plant is companion planting. So the same way we work with our volunteers, we treat our neighbors just like we treat our staff, like we treat our volunteers, all on the same playing field to get the goal done, which is to grow delicious, healthy food for the rest of the community.
Clearly, you're growing a lot of food and have quite a bit of ag involvement. Where do you see aquaculture, aquaponics ideally fitting in to all of that food production?
Well, I think as I'm planning to grow to scale up to another 51 acres to another 71 acres, like my goal as the boss, right, is to give to the tools she needs to grow this program at every single one of our locations, to like let her be a part of her growth as an aquaponic farmer and come to places like this, to meet other farmers, to inspire communities, just not inside of Central Texas, but US, worldwide. Like, we see this as a model for people to be able to come in and replicate or share the knowledge we've learned from any one of you. So I think that we can grow a lot more food, especially in that hot Texas heat with our aquaponics program, and we feed the fish to our neighbors. And so we don't have to worry about people not wanting to buy it because they love it, it's free.
I have a question. Okay, so you're based in Arizona and
Austin, Texas.
Oh, Austin, Texas. Sorry, was that the other person?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have heard people talking about like heat and the trending of heat that's happening with the weather. Have you thought of doing like any type of underground grows? You know, maybe, you know, just going on underground to get away from the heat and. That's it, that's the question.
It kind of depends on which one of my gardens you're talking about. One of the best ways that we've been able to beat the heat and consistently we pre-make all of our salads too, and we have all this stuff, so we are really, the way we do our planting for the whole like 10 acres is we make sure that those things are most vulnerable to heat, that Two takes care of that. She grows those. So when it's like, we want a lot of collards, we can knock that out. We want a lot of bib lettuce, we can do that there. And I've strategically planned everything based on season, the type of soil, or two with the water. We don't do anything underground. The only thing besides the geodome, which is indoors, which gets exposed during the summer, is the aquaponics house, our little greenhouse that we do our starts in, because we start every single thing we grow from seed. We don't buy transplants at all. And then we have a mushroom house, which is just like a tiny home with a bunch of mushrooms grown in the dark. But we don't do anything underground except eat vegetables in there. That's where they go.
Okay.
Speaking of free food, how is your organization funded?
So we are funded a lot of ways. We've got a donate QR code for anything. So we've got real big deal donors. We had Elon Musk recently come. GMC recently came in El Pais, and they interviewed me, and they came to our gardens, and they bought us an $8,000 greenhouse. The gentleman, Mr. Yachtman, who paid for our aquaponics greenhouse, he's just a guy that loves fish. He loves aquaponics, and he loves what we do. He loves the ethics behind what we do. So he said, what do you need? This is what we need. Bam, you can have it. So for the whole community, it really just depends. Like Icon, anyone seen the 3D printed home? We have 5 that are fully functioning. We have 5 that are being built right now. Icon is donating those homes to our community. We have different partnerships, whether it's in a capital campaign. We have a whole R&G department, which is how we get all of our funding. We do events where Tu and I will just go and just talk farming with folks, and it inspires them. This year, I wrote 2 grants, and we got the Whole Foods Community First grant, not just because we're named Community First, but that's actually the name of the grant. So it's really, again, engaging the community into a lifestyle of service with the homeless, and that also means being funded by the community. So donors.
What is your mission statement? Or did you already say that?
So a mission statement basically is that we provide food, clothing, and cultivate community and promote dignity to the homeless brothers and sisters in need of Central Texas. Our purpose is to empower communities into a lifestyle of service with the houseless.
Thank you.
Thank you all.